Hello, and you're listening to You Still Going On About That with myself, Rob Israel, and
Joseph K.
And you can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, Castbox, and Podbeam. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it. Tell your mom about it. And while you're at it, we also have a Facebook page. You Still Going On About That. Again, like it, join it, comment, share it. And thank you and enjoy. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that.
Spaceballs.
Spaceballs.
Watch
out. Yeah.
So Spaceballs is a movie from 1987. It's
a
spoof. Mel Brooks. We're going to probably talk about other Mel Brooks movies.
Oh, yeah.
We're mostly going to talk about Spaceballs. Again, it's a spoof on Star Wars.
Right.
They spoof other stuff.
Little Star Trek, little Aliens, little Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. A lot of it was like surprises, but it was. I remember I saw it in the theater when I was a kid.
Yes.
I loved it. 100% not appropriate for kids at the time, but
no.
It didn't matter.
Was it PG?
I don't remember. I think if anything, it has to be at least PG-13.
It's a rough
they do
PG.
Curse. They do say some curses, and there's a lot of sexual jokes. Some race jokes, and surprisingly not as much. Like they definitely toned it down for this movie in comparison to like other Mel Brooks movies.
Right.
Like, we're gonna talk about other Blazing Saddles gets brought up. Like I always love it when like Mel Brooks movies or comedies. I always see these like people on like my Facebook or some of these other people that I knew growing up, and they'll like talk shit about like how these movies, people don't have the balls to like these movies anymore or something like that. Like if it's like a badge of honor.
Right.
Now, I recognize they're funny, but there's some jokes that don't age well.
Yeah. Look, I think that's perfectly appropriate.
I will say Spaceballs, not too bad. I could be wrong. Again, we're old, right?
Yes.
I mean, like, there's things we probably like that people who are like in their 20s think we're like David Duke or something.
Yeah, well, I hope not that.
I hope not either, but...
Well, I think you're right. I think, like, obviously social mores change and stuff like that. When I looked at Spaceballs, I watched it. I saw it back in the day, and I think I saw it on video a few times, and I hadn't seen it in years. And you told me, hey, you got to watch it.
It's one of those movies that I always, I would say every couple of years I watch it.
Okay, so I hadn't seen it. I'll bet you I had not seen it in 20 years. Easy.
Okay.
And I was waiting for, because I know Mel Brooks' catalog, and I was waiting for a lot of inappropriate stuff, and there really wasn't that much of it in Spaceballs.
So I'm eating a dog right now.
There was some in it, but not a ton. But the ones that were felt like real forced to me. We have guests. We have
two dogs. Oh yeah, just to let you guys know, we're recording this in a different location. Usually, I'm recording this in Joseph's sweat hut.
Yeah, my fortified bunker out back where I keep it.
Yep. And instead, now we're recording this in my my meat locker.
Yes,
as I like to call it.
And with two dogs.
Two dogs.
Thunder and lightning.
Yeah, no, they're tiny little shit dogs. And they're annoying the fuck out of me right now.
And then we have a cat that's like
double their size,
gargantuan.
His name's Buddy, right. Or Buddy Cat TM, or Budgewick J. Cataby.
Yeah, I like that one.
He's a Maine Coon tuxedo cat. He's over here. He's like 50 pounds.
He's a substantial animal.
A silverback.
Yeah, a silverback.
A silverback animal, and. These dogs are annoying the fuck out of me. Sorry, just letting you know. So you might hear some meows and some really annoying dogs, and they'll calm down. They're excited.
Well, when you said let's do Spaceballs next, I was on board with it because I remember the movie. I liked it a lot. I love Mel Brooks. I mean, I just like Mel Brooks as kind of like a cultural icon. I did go back and watch Spaceballs. I watched most of it last night and finished it up this morning before I went into work. And
it's only like an hour and a half.
It's very quick.
Yeah.
It goes down easy. And since you know the basic plot of it doesn't follow the plot of Star Wars precisely. But
I will say what's funny about that movie, though. There's like things on that movie that expands on elements that were from Star Wars that were not in Star Wars. Like Planet Spaceballs.
Right, yeah.
Which to me was like Coruscant?
Oh, Coruscant, yeah.
I swore that name was mentioned in the 80s. In other things. They would mention the name Coruscant. Like
right, and we didn't see that until the prequels.
Well, actually, I think the first time we get to see it was in a special edition of Return of the Jedi.
Oh, okay, cool.
Which they ended up going back and reshooting out again and made that even more special.
Yes.
And then Alderaan.
Oh, yeah.
Which you never saw except for when it blew up. You saw Alderaan for 1 second in Episode 3 of Star Wars.
Yes.
There is reference... So, it's so stupid. Princess Vespa's character, played by...
Daphne Zuniga?
Yeah.
Right.
She's the Princess Leia character.
Yes.
And, of course, they make a bunch of Jewish jokes. She's a Jewish princess.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah.
That was... They had like a nose job joke. Was like part of the shtick in there. Yeah.
Yeah. They have the Plastic Surgeon Network saying he's going to bring back her original nose.
Right.
They show the photo. It's like something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But Dick Van Patten plays her dad.
Yeah.
And they're on this planet that's like got like nice trees and clouds. And that's kind of like what Alderaan was described as.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was kind of funny that's in this movie. Lucas ripped off this movie for his movies.
Yeah, sure. Well, you told me before I rewatched it this time, that they hired like a lot of the same special effects people.
Supposedly Lucas Arts actually helped in some of the special effects.
Well, I knew that going into my rewatching, and the laser noises were spot on. And they basically, I don't want to say stole or whatever, the Star Trek transporter noises were spot on. A lot of, like, some of it was designed, you could tell they were trying to make it look cheap. But
it was
very, yes.
What I liked about this movie, even though it's a parody of Star Wars, it felt like its own universe.
It did.
It almost like, it didn't feel like obviously there's complete nods, they're all pastiches of Star Wars characters. But it felt like its own universe. It didn't feel like one of those cheap... Remember those horrendous parody movies you would see? Like, a lot of them came out like in the early, mid-2000s.
Are you talking about...
Like, disaster movies.
Yes.
Or like...
Well, Airplane got popular.
Airplane's late 70s.
Yeah, but Airplane got popular, but then they made like a bunch of...
Well, that's Zucker Brothers. These are not Zucker Brothers. It's like these shitty movies that came out like 2005 and they were just all like parody, like I can't even remember the names of them. They were garbage. And there was these two guys and they were getting away with murder. They would release these movies like first week of January of the year, which is like a shit month for movies. But it would get people going. They literally, all they would do was they would parody a film and they would just have like Iron Man in it for no reason. And it was like, you could tell they're making the movie. Like, they didn't even see the movie. They just saw a trailer. They just,
threw stuff up against the wall.
Yeah. They're like, look, Iron Man shows up. Or, look, it's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah.
There was one came out in 2005. And this movie was garbage. There was, like, Spaceballs. You know, you could tell, like, it's the same genre of shitty spoof movies. But one thing about Spaceballs, I know it's like a Mel Brooks movie, but it felt like... I almost wish they made a sequel. Well... Like, it felt like it has its own lore to it, like its own universe, its own rules.
They talked about
there's world building.
Yeah, right. There really is. And
I know, it's so stupid.
Mel Brooks, as recently as like 2015, was talking about making a sequel.
It was around the time Force Awakens came out.
And he said that he was going to call it Spaceballs 3. The Search for Spaceballs 2.
Which is kind of funny.
Which is really fun. It's like a Search for Spock joke. And him and Rick Moranis were talking about it. Yeah. And they couldn't come to terms with the studio.
Well, they had a hard time getting in touch with John Candy's agent.
Right.
That was a little tough.
Yeah, well, they said like a lot of the people... It was sad because like Joan Rivers and Dick Van Patten and John Candy, and there's one other person they said had like passed on... But it was basically like you'd be looking at like Pullman and Moranis and Brooks, right? President Scrooge.
Yeah. He's like 1,000 years old. He looks more and more like yogurt every day.
Yes. Well, I liked it because Scrooge was just Brooks spelled backwards.
Like, oh, that's funny. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, yeah. Like if you look at...
Wait. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
President Scrooge.
Oh.
It's like,
Yeah, he did play a double role. He was playing the Emperor.
yes.
Kind of.
And Yoda.
Yogurt. Plain yogurt. I'm
Right.
just plain yogurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like. That's what I'm saying. I know it's so stupid. It's a parody of Star Wars, but I was like watching this, and I'm like, and actually, supposedly one of the agreements to make this movie without having any issues with Star Wars was supposedly Lucas gave its blessing. He just said, "Listen, I don't care as long as you don't make any licensed product."
Right.
And I talked to you about this before. You even watched the movie.
Yes.
I said I could totally see that shit selling. People would buy a John Candy Mog action figure. They would buy a Darth Helmet figure.
Or that Winnebago.
Or the Winnebago. Yeah, people would be buying that shit left and right.
I think so.
I'm not saying it would rival Star Wars,
No.
but there'd be a collector's market. There would be people like NECA, one of these more adult
Certainly
toy
as many
brands
people that buy Spawn figurines
at this
would buy
point.
this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There would be a market for it. And so obviously that was part of the deal. Because
Right.
you would have seen something. You would have seen Spaceballs merchandise.
Or Halloween costumes or something.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Regardless.
Sure. Well,
Something. You have zilch because
yeah.
that was part of the deal. And at the end of the day, really, that's all Lucas is about anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, Lucas is a toy company. Look, I back in '87, Mel Brooks still had a lot of cultural pull. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, he had. If you were watching Spaceballs in '87,
Yeah.
then you were probably familiar with Young Frankenstein, High Anxiety, History of the World, all his big hits.
Yeah. Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles. Producers, yeah. So the notion that like if Mel Brooks is going to parody you, that to me says
it was like an honor at that point.
It's
still.
an honor.
Okay,
Right.
so we talked about this after too. What did he make after? He did Rubbing Him In Tights.
Yep.
It was okay. He did Dragon Loving It.
Yep.
Not very good. He did this other movie that I forgot that he made like in like the early '90s. It's like where he plays this rich guy who becomes homeless, and it was like a weird movie because it wasn't like his other movies. It was still a comedy. Yeah, it was a Mel Brooks movie. So he made Life Stinks in '91.
Right.
So he's in some things, but he doesn't make anything from Spaceballs to Life Stinks.
Yeah.
And as I guess some critics would say, it's stinks.
Yeah. I remember that title. I don't remember it.
It was a weird movie. Like it's odd. Like if you watch it, like you're watching a Mel Brooks movie. It's like he's. You ever see? You familiar with John Waters movies?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember Serial Mom?
Yeah, with Kathleen Turner.
Yeah, well, the thing about Serial Mom was that was like his, like I think he did that like kind of fresh off of Crybaby.
Okay.
And, what's the one he's most famous for?
Pink Flamingos.
No, not that one. I mean, like where he got the most mainstream, the one with the girl dance, the chunky.
Oh, Hairspray.
Yeah, Hairspray.
Yes.
He did Serial Mom, and like it was like really his attempt to make like a mainstream
Right.
movie.
Yeah,
like,
I do.
You watch it, you're watching a John Waters movie. But it's restrained on so many levels. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it was only PG-13. I love that movie.
Yeah.
But you could kind of... that's what it felt like. It was a Mel Brooks movie. You were watching it, but it wasn't a spoof. It was like he was trying to play this like bizarre... Like he wanted to have his cake and eat it too. He wanted to make like almost like a drama, but then there'd be this weird comedy in it.
Yeah.
And you're like, this ain't working.
No.
And he goes and does Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Well, gosh. Yeah, I'm now trying to think back on like Kathleen Turner's career. She's still around, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The weirdest thing I ever seen her do was I went to in 2004. My wife and I went to, this was in New York.
Okay.
We attended a Planned Parenthood like an event.
Sure.
And there was like all these celebrities there, and they were doing like. It's the only time I got to see Lou Reed live.
Oh wow!
He did a couple songs. And it was kind of cool. So that's like the only time because
Sure.
Actually, what's fucked up is Patrice O'Neal, that comedian. Do you remember him at all?
Yeah.
He died, so I got to see him. It's like all these people that were at this event, I got to see them. Truncated versions.
It's like a Final Destination type of
thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, but Kathleen Turner, man, I can't even. This is so bizarre. I can't even like. Tucker's voice just got deeper. Deeper.
Well, she had the Katharine Hepburn voice.
Well,
Lauren Bacall voice.
Yes, she did. She was famous for like. She was Jessica Rabbit.
Yes.
And she always had like a smoky voice,
Yes.
they call it.
Right.
And I guess post-menopausal, it became more of like a smoky baritone.
Right,
A
yes.
smoky tuba.
Yeah.
And she
A smoky
came out
didgeridoo.
and read a parody article from The Onion. And The Onion's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I always think the headlines are great, but when you read the actual article, they're not that funny.
No, not as funny as the headlines.
No, the headlines are best. But the article was on like a Taco Bell pizza that was also considered a birth control or something. And she reread it, and it was painful.
Yeah.
With her like deep.
Right. Yeah.
And then you could go to Taco Bell.
Okay, now you're just doing the thing from Us. Now you're just
Yeah. I went to Taco Bell and I got a pizza.
I got a rabbit.
And then yeah. All right. Well, regardless.
Yeah. Well, look, Mel Brooks had like a real aesthetic and sensibility, and this kind of fit right into that groove.
Spaceballs.
When I first watched,
It's his best last movie.
Yes.
Like, I know people will. I know he produced the Producers play. I'll be honest with you.
Sure.
I honestly did never like the Producers, the original.
With Gene Wilder and
yeah, I
Sarah
didn't care for it.
Michelle.
I felt like it was too much of a. Like, you ever watch Laughing?
Yeah.
It's like too much of its time. I can never get into Laughing.
It is. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I would watch Old Saint Live on Nick at Night, and they would have Laughing too.
Oh yeah.
I could never get into Laughing.
It just made no sense to me.
It was just like, it was too like groovy. Like everybody was like, it it didn't feel real. It felt very fake, very like.
Well,
it was trying to play up the whole '60s fashion thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a thing. It didn't feel real. Like Saint Life felt kind of real.
Well, I think it was hyper
raw,
real.
I guess.
Well, it was hyper real. It was like they were doing their version of the '60s, which is like the Brady Bunch's version of the '70s.
Yeah.
Or and it's like if you lived in the '70s, it wasn't like the Brady's Bunch, but the Brady's Bunch was like an approximate.
The Brady's.
Like, well, it's like Epcot's version of Paris. We've talked about that. It's like it's
a distorted reality.
It's a distorted reality.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a theme park version. Like Netflix did a special.
Oh, okay.
They did a thing on Laughing.
All right.
But with like modern people, I'm like, I tried watching it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I hate I can never get into Laughing. And Producers always felt like that to me.
Yeah.
Like there's one, and the funny thing is, Mel Brooks only in one scene in the movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because he's known to being in his movies. I don't think he's in Young Frankenstein though, is he?
If he is, it's a real minor role because that's. Yeah.
I can never get into Producers. Like, I mean, the plot's kind of funny where they dig up an old Nazi and make a play. And they said like what a big deal it was to make that back in then. Because you got to realize this movie came out in like the late '60s.
It was not.
This is like this is less than 20 years after.
There were still actual Nazis living rich, productive lives in
and now
Argentina
they're
or Brazil,
living in the White House.
Yeah, right.
All right, well, that's a different story. So, but it just felt so like of its time. But I love the best part of the whole movie is when Mel Brooks, they're doing the musical part, and Mel Brooks pops out and goes, "Don't be stupid, be a smarty. Come and join the Nazi party."
Yeah.
It's like going to be the most Jewish person to say that too.
Yeah. It was the Producers. To me, it just seemed like a one note joke. It's like the Springtime for Hitler. That's hilarious. That you would. The whole dynamic. We want to lose money, so we're going to have this terrible, and then it becomes a hit.
Yeah,
that's funny. And then High Anxiety I saw, which was his take.
I only saw it once. It was a take on Vertigo or something?
Yeah, it was his take on Hitchcock. It was like, I think it was Vertigo, but he incorporated other, I think there was a Birds parody in there. It's kind of like Spaceballs. Spaceballs was a Star Wars parody, but you had Alien, you had Star Trek, you had Planet
When
of the
I was
Apes.
a kid, Spaceballs came out, I was like 10, I was like around 10, or gonna be 10.
Yeah.
And I would get obsessed with certain things. Like, I wanted to see all his movies then.
Yeah.
So I would with my mom, like, go to the video store and try to get all the Mel Brooks movies. She let me watch them. Let me tell you, not all of them are appropriate for kids.
No.
But I want to see them all. Same thing with like James Bond. I became like a James Bond freak.
Yeah, me too.
I was like, I want to see all the James Bond movies. And I remember I always liked the Roger Moore ones more than the Sean Connery ones.
So
I don't know why. Because the Roger Moore ones are just funnier. They're a little more ridiculous. And I don't know. There's just something more about like his role. He seems more cartoonish.
He smirks.
Sean Connery always seemed like kind of a dick.
Yeah. Well, look, the Sean Connery ones, some of them are real good.
Goldfinger's great.
Goldfinger. Dr. No. Is that the first one?
That's the first one.
Yeah, that was fine. But anyway, I agree. The Roger Moore ones were the ones I grew up with. For Your Eyes Only. Mm-hmm. I must have seen that. I'm not even exaggerating.
Is that the one with... Or is it Spylight? What's the one with Hervé Villechaize?
Oh, I don't know.
The Man with the Golden Gun?
That could be. The For Your Eyes Only was the one where...
I just remember that song.
Yeah. Sheena Easton, right.
Only. My mom would play that record all the time.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Regardless, I would get super into like stuff. Spaceballs would get me, and so I wanted to see all the Mel Brooks movies. I will say I couldn't get into Young Frankenstein, and I'm not kidding. I think it's probably because it was black and white. And
I can see that.
I just viewed it as old. And there's some funny jokes in it, like
Abby
when the
Normal.
guy, what?
Abby Normal.
Which is the guy with the crazy eyes? Yeah, he literally had a condition.
Yeah, I forget his name. Wasn't he Eric? No, it's not Eric Idle.
No. Gene Wilder played the doctor.
Frankenstein.
No, his name Boyle. Peter Boyle played the Frankenstein monster.
Yes.
Young Terry Garr, and then there was a guy who basically played like the Igor character. He was famous for having like this disease where his eyes looked like they were bugging out of his skull.
He looked like the googly-eyed gremlin.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he has a great line in the movie when they they first get to the castle or something like that.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Walk this way."
Oh,
and he's like, and they all start walking like.
Right.
Like, so he's like instructing them to walk this way. It's very funny.
No, my favorite line, the one I always remember is Gene Wilder told him to go get a brain from the graveyard, and he went and got the brain, and then he asked like, "What's the guy's name?" And he said, "I don't know, Abby someone." And Wilder's like, "Abby who?" And he's like, "Abby Normal." And it was like he had gotten an abnormal brain from it. Yeah, right.
So he did like, let's see. To Be or Not to Be?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
That was another music one, To Be or Not to Be. It was like a Shakespeare.
At the onset of World War II, a Polish actor's family and the Polish resistance helped the troop of theater escape Poland and invading Nazis. That's one I never saw.
Yeah, I did see that. That's a good one.
Okay. Yeah, I never saw that one. I must have missed that one even when I was a kid. History of the World Part 1's awesome.
It's amazing, and for years I kept waiting for History of the World Part 2.
Jews in Space?
Yeah, Jews in Space, right?
Yeah, I'm still waiting for
Zooming along,
Spaceballs 2,
protecting
the
the Hebrew
Search
race.
for More Money.
Oh, yeah. It's just,
I'm still waiting for that.
But he had a real aesthetic, and Spaceballs played right into that aesthetic.
He always had the same actors in all his movies.
A lot of the
Dom
same
DeLuise
actors.
shows up in something. And I didn't know for years, I didn't realize until just a couple years ago, that Dom DeLuise was Pizza the Hut.
Oh, yeah.
I never knew that.
That's funny, yeah.
That scene, and let me tell you, that's why I said, like, I see Spaceballs almost as its own thing. I wish that he was able to make less progress. I would buy a Pizza Hut figure. Pizza the Hut was amazing looking. It was so disgusting. I mean, it's shitty in that you could see, and when I realized it was Dom DeLuise, that you could literally see him under it, and you could not even see his beard a little bit.
It didn't even check.
The best line is like, Lodestar, and his friend Puke, or
Barf.
No, Puke. It's Barf.
Right.
Puke, Barf, whatever. I mean, it's so gross. He's like dripping. It's like, it's the most disgusting thing.
Well, yeah.
I wish like almost they didn't call it Pizza the Hut. Like if they just like strayed, just like 5% away from Star Wars, maybe they could have gotten away with doing licensed products.
Well,
like clearly it's based on Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think he had to make it like a Star Wars.
Well, obviously,
right?
that's what sold it. But you remember,
like
when the ship shows up and it's the first minute of the movie, they're making fun of the beginning of Star Wars,
the opening scene of Star Wars,
the imposing ship,
attacking
the rebel ship,
right,
and It's a good like couple of seconds to show how big the ship is.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
Well, this one was like ridiculous, where the ship is like, just does not ever end. It's like, it's so long, but it looks amazing.
Yeah,
for what it is.
You had said a lot of the effects were kind of like not borrowed, but like they had the same people working on them.
Well, the model work just looks like I said, it's not bad. Like,
no, it's not bad.
As a spoof of Star Wars, it's like obviously Star Wars is better,
of course,
but I just felt like they do such a good job of world building or universe building that they could have made a sequel. Now, yeah, it's a spoof. It relies on other things. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. You know, it's like one of those things you ask for, you want it, and then you get, and you're just like, and they end up just kind of spoofing themselves, and it's like, maybe there was no need for another one.
To me, it seemed like Mel Brooks this wasn't the height of Mel Brooks. But he was still coasting off his height, right? Like, he was as big as...
Well, he didn't make anything from, movie-wise. Yeah, well, I guess he did that to be or not to be. Like I said, I don't know if that was that big of a hit. I know History of the World was a huge one.
History of the World was huge.
That came out in 81.
Yeah, but, like, think about it from back then. Like, in 81, History of the World came out in theaters. And then you had... you had all those movies kind of flooding HBO... at a certain time.
Yeah.
And
I never saw Silent Movie. I'm looking
I never saw that
I'm
either.
looking at all his like films and I'm like, there's just some things I never
Well, I only count the ones that he was like writer
where he's a writer too. Well, Silent Movie is I think considered one of his I think that's considered like a Mel Brooks movie.
Alright.
So like I know it's so funny we're gonna talk about like how do these movies like hold up today?
Yeah,
are there things wrong with it? Like, I look at it this way: it's funny. You could find it funny.
Sure.
If somebody younger's watching it, do you just like say, "Listen, just know that you're watching something that's like 40 years old.
Right.
You're watching something that's 30 years old."
Yeah,
we're not.
That's that's a great.
Watch it with a little bit of a, like what's that famous movie? It's like, what's that famous movie anyway?
Oh, yeah. Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
The Third Man.
The one, Breakfast at Tiffany.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. I thought,
like, that's a movie that...
Yeah, where Mickey Rooney plays the Asian
I would have no
character.
problem editing that out. Not because, not even just because it's offensive, just because it's
stupid.
It's stupid.
Stupid as fuck.
It is. Like, there's some scenes in obviously there's a part where she's in the hallway and he's saying... Holly go right.
Yeah, Holly go lightly.
But he's saying,
but he can't. Yeah,
Holly
right.
go right.
Yes, it's just lazy.
He had a speech
it's lazy.
I guess he clearly had a speech.
It's short. Yeah, that was it.
That was it. No, they literally painted Mickey Rooney yellow.
Yeah,
and he played this he basically played like a Jar Jar Binks character.
Yeah.
In this movie, and it's like considered one of these like classic films. Like, they play it sometimes, like, me and my wife saw it when we were living in New York. We saw it in, like, an art house theater. And, like, it's a celebrated movie.
It is.
And I'm watching this, and I'm like, this is so bad. Like, and I'm not even talking about, like, it's not, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's...
And I'm not even talking about, like, because I'm a liberal. I'm just saying,
it's just clumsy. I mean, like...
It's lazy. It's
it's lazy. That's where I go with it. Like... I guess Blazing Saddles is the one to talk about with Mel Brooks. That's not lazy, by any stretch.
I'm getting a massage from my cat right now.
Budwig Tea Academy.
Budwig Tea Academy.
But I think, and there's also, there's another kind of subtext here where, you can't, I don't think the average person can make a movie joking about Nazis. But, Mel Brooks could. You know what I mean?
Well, he's Jewish.
He's Jewish, right? And it was at a time in history where,
You're talking about the producers, though, right?
The producers... Well, and, there's, Nazi jokes in History of the World. The Jews in space at the end. And, there's...
Spaceballs is, 90% Jew jokes.
Yeah, it's
the Schwartz.
Right.
Yogurt.
Yes.
An old Jew... Everything is there's Jewish princes.
Right, yeah, the planet was Druid.
Yeah, Druid, yeah. And she had a nose job
Right. Well, I read the Wikipedia article before I rewatched it.
Oh, good.
I like the plot kind of laid out for me so that I can focus on the little details. So I don't have to like use my brain to focus on where the plot's going. I'm like, because I know that.
You mean for this specifically?
For this specifically,
right?
Or for anything.
For everything.
For my day.
I just read a Wikipedia article about my day. What am I doing for lunch today?
So, you know what I did for lunch today? I went to, well, I didn't go personally, someone went for me. But Burger King has the Impossible Burger now.
Oh.
Is
it good? We're not being paid by Burger King. We're not
open to that.
Yeah, come on, Burger King.
Well, look, you get an Impossible Burger at any like nice restaurant.
I'm surprised that they don't. Every fast food place should be offering a veggie burger.
A plant-based burger.
There was a burger that McDonald's was talking about. They only had it in like one state and like in Europe or something. I was like, why do you not sell that?
Well, like you can get a veggie burger.
Always have that on deck.
You can get a black bean burger at like Smash Burger.
Yeah, but those are like smaller places.
Yes.
I'm talking about the big boys. Man. Wendy's, McDonald's.
Burger King brought it is...
How was it?
Amazing. I like the Impossible Burger. I think it's very good.
Did it taste like a decent Impossible Burger? Did
Yes.
it taste like a shitty...
No, because I've gotten Impossible Burgers and I've paid like $15 to $20 per burger at a few nice places. I'm not going to mention them by name because they haven't compensated me. Yeah. But
either as Burger King.
Right. But I'll tell you, this was a great version of the Impossible Burger. It was like $5.
That's the kind of shit that's going to save the planet. Is like cow farts.
Yeah.
Not serious.
Well, okay, I lost my train of thought there, but like...
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're... Oh, because you said Wikipedia.
And So I Googled the Wikipedia and I was like... Sorry about that. That's
Burger King, if you're listening...
Hey.
If you want to... You guys are cool. You got a weird Twitter account.
Yeah.
Come on, let us.
HMU Burger King. So hit me up.
Yeah. Right? Okay, I was like, what?
I saw you kind of like. I hope that's not
loan or what? I don't know.
No. So I read and I read that they called it Planet Druid.
Bias goat.
Nice. I read that they had called it Planet Druid, and I was like, why do they call it that? Druidia. And then when they did the Druish, I was like, I get why they did that.
But it was like so ridiculous. The one thing I do like about the movie, though, it's like everyone's like dressed like really cheesy kings and queens. Like Dick Van Patten, who has been in he's known for being in a lot of Mel Brooks movies.
Yes.
Was Harvey Korman dead? Usually he's in his movies.
That's a good question.
Or maybe he was. I don't know. He could have been. Like I said, I didn't know for years. I didn't realize that was Dom DeLuise as Pizza Hut.
And Madeline Kahn wasn't in this. She popped up occasionally.
I always loved the guy, the reverend or whatever, the priest who was doing the wedding.
Oh yeah.
It's like the wedding was interrupted in the beginning and it's back, and it's like
clearly
they're just sitting there waiting the whole movie.
Well, look, I guess with Mel Brooks, the jokes are so broad.
Yeah.
You know, they're it's like vaudeville. I mean, I know that's like a common, but they're so...
It's kind of his roots.
Yeah. It is. And it's a real cool thing.
Like when they're all sliding down the stairs, the three of them.
Yeah.
So, there's one scene in the movie that's completely insane. When they're looking through the catalogs of movies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I forget. Okay, so
are you talking about when Darth Helmet...
Yeah, Rick Moranis plays... So Rick Moranis plays the Darth Vader character.
Yes.
Comedy right there. Darth Vader, an imposing giant character.
With a giant helmet.
No, well, Darth Vader himself.
Yeah.
Rick Moranis, who's
small.
5'5", maybe? I don't know. Nebbishy little character. I love his tie. It looks like There's a lot of dick references in this movie.
There are.
A lot of penis references. The Schwartz. I seen your Schwartz as big as mine.
Yes.
A lot of,
Well,
Schwartz is twisted.
And instead of choking his subordinate,
he shoots him in the balls.
He shoots him in the balls with
little ring.
Force ring or his Schwartz ring.
Yeah.
That was like, this is stupid, but that really surprised. I'm watching it, and I'm waiting for because I had forgotten the scene. I'm waiting for the Vader choking his subordinate, and he shoots him in the junk with a laser beam.
Yeah, slowly.
Right. And all the next scene, like all his subordinates like cover their balls.
My favorite is the assholes.
Oh yeah.
When they're like, the guy's like, he screws up something and his eyes are crossed.
Yeah.
That's my cousin, sir.
He's
what's up with this asshole? That's my cousin, sir. And then like he's an asshole, and they're like, how many assholes are on this ship? And it's like, they're all assholes.
Well, it's so everything's just so obvious. Like once you get the rhythm of the Mel Brooks thing, almost part of it is like anticipating the jokes before they happen.
The
like,
double mint girls.
Yeah.
And I guess they were the actual double mint girls.
That would track. I don't know.
I highly recommend you watch this movie. We're going to make references to the movie, but this one scene, it's super bizarre.
Yeah.
Like if the comedy is like you said, super broad. This scene is like meta, or it's the part with the V8 when they're looking through the VHS tapes of the movie, and he sees Blazing Saddles. Obviously, they just throw in all the Mel Brooks movies, but then they see Spaceballs.
Yeah, so and they see
it's happening. It's happening now. And they fast forward, and like you see the scene when they do ludicrous speed go.
Yes.
Rick Moranis flies across and smashes his head. It's like, no, fast forward to that scene. Don't show that. And then it ends where they are.
Yeah,
because they're still making the movie,
right?
Which is like super weird.
It is weird. Like
and he's like, no, now is now.
Yeah,
and he's like, what do you mean? Like,
when was that? If you Google Spaceballs clips, that's going to be the first clip you see, or at
really?
At least it was because. When I was getting ready for work,
my cat eats plastic bags for some reason.
He's going to town on that. Well, when I was watching clips this morning, I wanted to watch a few clips. I just Googled Spaceball clips, and that was the first clip that pops up. The Rick Moranis and his subordinates are watching
Colonel Sanders.
Yes, Colonel Sanders.
A joke that doesn't ever dies.
Yeah.
Because his name is Colonel Sanders.
Right. But they're watching the movie, and then they look back to the camera. They're like breaking the fourth wall. And it's just such a weird, crazy little scene. It's really good. But that's like another thing with Mel Brooks, with this movie. I think he was kind of at the height of his commercial, pull. And they didn't give him any restrictions. Yeah, they just said we want a Mel Brooks version of Star Wars. And
you have a great subject to so you have a large thing to parody. Everyone knows what this is, and he could have done like the super obvious jokes in the movie. I mean, they are there. Like John Candy's the Chewbacca in the movie, but his name's Barf, and he's half man, half dog, and he makes dumb jokes like, "I'm my own best friend." But when they do shit like the videotape scene, or I'm trying to think of like some other ones, like the fact that there was a circus on the ship, and like when they're trying to escape and then when he hits the self-destruct button by accident, and like I love that all the circus people, and then the guy who just plays the drums, like he's on there, and like the circus bear sneaks on.
It's like, there's just all sorts of weird shit happening, and
it's like I said, President Scrooge.
Yep.
Like, you go to like the Spaceballs plant Spaceballs.
Yes.
And I guess what was it? They wanted the oxygen.
The atmosphere.
They wanted the atmosphere, so the ship is a transformer.
Right, and it's a vacuum cleaner.
And of course, the blowjob joke. She sucked the blow.
Right.
Which when I was 10, that shit was hysterical.
Yeah. Well, look, it's still a little funny.
Oh, it is funny.
Like,
I'm just saying though, but like. There's a lot, like I said, and that's the difference between this movie and like really shitty spoof movies, like those ones that came out where they had like Kim Kardashian, like one of them, like they were garbage. Yeah. There's no creativity in those. Like this one still had like I said, it creates its own universe. Obviously it borrows. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is in the end of the film when everything's all said and done. Lone Stars with Barf, and they stop at a truck stop.
Okay, yeah.
And there's like a whole bunch of sex jokes.
Sure.
Barf's tail is going up the woman's butt. He's like, oh, it's in a mind of its own.
Right.
Like, the waitress comes and he's like, what's this, like, what they got to order? And Barf's like, I'll have the cleavage. I mean, I'll have the...
Right.
Yeah. It's like stupid jokes like that.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't make those today. I don't know. I feel like those spoof movies are hard to do now. I don't feel like they can make those anymore.
Well, a lot of them are so rooted in like sex comedy, and a lot of them seem like race.
But I also think a lot of those the reason why those spoof movies work, if you watch a Marvel movie now, it's almost like they're spoofing themselves. It's like so much comedy in those movies.
Yeah.
You could not make a spoof of a Marvel movie. I don't think you can.
That's true.
Unless you were making like your own superhero, and it's a broad spoof on like superheroes. And I know they made like failed attempts. I know like Scary Movie. The people who made Scary Movie. Scary Movie was probably the last good one of those those movies. And but after Scary Movie, that was it. Like Scary Movie 2 and 3 and 4. And but then they did like one on superheroes, and it was terrible. Right?
I don't remember that one.
Exactly, you don't.
Yeah,
because it was garbage. It's like so. But like when you watch a lot of these movies now, like Star Wars, I mean the original Star Wars, there's some little sight gags, but it's not funny. When you watch like a Marvel movie, there's comedy built into it. There's like a shit ton of comedy. I mean, like I saw the new Spider-Man movie.
Okay, yeah,
those movies are comedies. Like they're just straight up comedies. Even like they're one of the characters. You didn't see it, right?
No, not
okay,
yet.
I'm gonna ruin something.
Yeah, that's fine.
Spoiler: Spider-Man, Far From Home.
Right.
Like the villain in the movie is like completely crazy in one part where he's like yelling at everybody who works, and one of the people that works for him, her whole job is to iron his cape. Yeah. And like as he's screaming at everybody, he's like, "God, what's the status on the cape?" I mean, you can't parody that. That's already funny. It's already funny. It's already parodying itself. Like the Spider. So like Star Wars was such a straight-laced movie. Like it was slights and. Again, I'm talking about like the Red Letter Media review of The Last Jedi.
Right.
They do a really good job of like showing like they show clips of one, they show Clark Griswold.
Okay.
But then they show clips of Spaceballs.
Okay.
And they said like the villains in this movie, he's like when you watch the Empire, like when you watch the original trilogy with the Empire, they're cold, they're calculated, everything's like the military. There's no humor.
Right.
And he says in like Last Jedi, everyone's like, all the villains are like running around screaming at each other. Are they all fucking insane? And they start playing clips of like Colonel Sanders going, "Lucas Spade, go!" Yeah. And then they show like General, the redheaded guy from The Last Jedi, like Hux.
Right? Yes.
Yeah, and he's like literally acting the same, and it's like it's not. You can't parody it. It's already tough. Almost like a parody in itself. It's like these movies today, they've learned, it's like, it has to encompass everything. It has to have, but that's why I always said, like, you know, like, some of these, like, Zack Snyder DC movies where they made them too serious. And I was like, well, Marvel knows how to, like, Endgame and Infinity War.
Yeah,
which
Marvel
are super serious movies. You get but they're funny at the same time.
Yeah, Marvel will get your partner to go with you. You know what I mean? Like,
I will say, out of all the Marvel movies, the ones that are just straight up, pretty much just straight up comedies.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok.
Thor
Ragnarok is pretty much a spoof on Thor 1 and 2.
Guardians of the Galaxy 1, right?
And 2, they're humorous. They have a humorous bent to them, but Thor Ragnarok was like literally like just.
Yeah, it was.
It's straight up. It's a straight up comedy.
It started out with a joke, like
Thor when he's in that cage and like he's talking to the.
You're probably wondering how I got.
And the mouth falls right off immediately. It's like, and then he's talking to the bad guy, and he's like, "Wait for my bird casing to spin around so I can see you."
Yeah,
it's like it was a joke.
It was. And
so you can't. Those movies can't exist anymore. Like Mel Brooks and like those type of movies, they can't exist because the actual movies themselves have to include everything in it now, or people won't go see the movie.
Yeah, well, and Mel Brooks, I think, I don't want to say he started that type of comedy.
No, he didn't, not at all.
But he, look, as far as like movies, popular movies, he was like definitely one of the, like, can you think of Mel Brooks, who was doing Mel Brooks type of movies before Mel Brooks?
I'm not that old.
Yeah, well, I don't think there were.
I don't know. Well, okay, no, that's not true. You ever seen Casino Royale?
You're right. The Peter Sellers and stuff like that.
That was like a total parody of James Bond.
And Get Smart.
I hate Get get smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to get
I
smart.
mean, he didn't create it. Yeah. I mean, he just, I would say, if anything, like, in comparison to his other movies, and I could be wrong. I mean, obviously, Blazing Saddles is a comedy. It's a spoof on westerns and on race and everything.
Right. Well, yeah.
Like, I always love when, like I said, people were like, Blazing Saddles couldn't be made today. Well, yeah, duh.
Right.
I mean, like, you gotta understand, like, Blazing Saddles, when it came out, you know, they like, yeah, but they make fun of racist movies. I'm like, yeah, but it's like, it was reactionary to those times. Well, guess what? The movie came out over 45 years ago? 40 years ago?
Have you seen it lately?
No, I haven't seen it in like 20 years. I know that shit is...
Yeah.
I mean, there's a scene when they go into that Dom DeLuise where, like, the whole movie, like, just breaks down and you find out they're on a film set.
Right, at the very end, it's like in modern day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's like the whole movie, and you don't see it coming. I didn't know that when I I heard about Blazing Saddles for years. I knew about the famous scene where everyone's eating the beans and they're farting.
That was the big one. Yeah, because that's like generally...
And then, like, the guy, Mongo, punches...
a horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like, Mongo fancies you. And he goes, no, Mongo likes ladies. Or something. It's, like, really funny.
Well, Blazing Saddles is kind of an interesting one to talk about because, you're right, it was completely crazy. And towards the end, it just veered way
Well, they go into, like, the whole, like, gay men singing that song about basically watch your ass or something.
Right,
and,
right.
Like, Tom DeLuise is saying all kinds of, like, inflammatory things. And again, it's like, is it funny? Yeah, but it's like, you got to still recognize if you're watching this today, you just sound like an old fart. If you can't admit that, like, okay, yeah, you know what, this movie, it's not right for the times. But when the fucked up thing is when it came out, it was probably considered very progressive at the time.
Yeah. It's weird. Like, I watched it back in the day, and I liked it, and I thought it was very funny, but
Did Richard Pryor write it?
I don't know.
I'm looking it up.
But I knew at the time, I was like, look, this is a kind of movie where it's problematic.
It came out in 1974.
Okay, right.
So, I mean, like, the movie's almost 45 years old.
And I remember thinking, like, these are not lines I could quote. You know, when I was a kid, the best thing to do would be to see a movie and then quote all the lines to your friends ad infinitum over the course of a summer. But these weren't lines.
Richard Pryor was one of the writers.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, the plot of the movie was the corrupt mayor, to piss off everybody, like, hires a black sheriff. And this is supposed to be, like, the late 1800s, so post-Civil War.
Yeah.
And
Gene Wilder played the Waco Kid.
Did he?
Yeah, I think that was his name, the Waco Kid. And he had...
His name's Jim.
I thought his name was...
Wasn't that another movie where he was like this Hasidic Jew and Harrison Ford, and they're like in the West, and Harrison Ford plays like a cowboy that like helps them across the country. Cisco Kid.
Cisco Kid.
Yeah.
He was Jim, but his previous nickname was the Waco Kid.
Right. And he's like, it's played by Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder. Which, aside from like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I think is his like signature role for me.
Well, he is famous for being in a lot of Richard Pryor movies.
Yeah, stir crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what do you want, Cat? You got something to say about Spaceballs? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, like the movie is funny, but you can't sit there and say like, well, the fucking movie came out in 1974. Yeah, of course you can't make that movie today.
Right.
I mean, like, I mean, you can make that movie today, but it's going to be different. Okay,
and this is kind of what, when I was watching Spaceballs, I was thinking to myself, because you had said one of the things you wanted to talk about is like, how does the humor age? Could you make it today? Is it appropriate today? And there's a lot of jokes in there that I'm like, no, these aren't appropriate today. We've come to...
But I think Spaceballs has some jokes in there. I'm like, wow, like I said, the VHS thing's like... the circus being in there, like assholes are on the ship, or like...
Right.
I would say it's definitely like... it's really funny, and those like type of jokes... No, those are not offensive jokes.
No.
But like I said, it's like what you said. Anybody 50 years ago, it's like...
Right. Well, and look, you come at it, and this is such a weird thing to talk about for me, but like, Mel Brooks comes at it from like this experience of like
he's 92 years old.
He's like 100-year-old Jewish guy, and he was alive during like some terrible, terrible times in history, and so he who can make a joke about the Nazis? Well, like Mel Brooks can make a joke about the Nazis. Right. I can't. Right? It's not my... I haven't earned it. I haven't earned the right to be... I mean, I can joke about, like, Stephen Miller, but...
You can't make fun of Nazis.
Well, look, I can make fun of Nazis.
You can't make fun of Jewish people. That's
right,
that's the difference.
I can make fun of Nazis for being Nazis, but, like, I can't make, like... I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about, but, like, Mel Brooks can do it. He's got that. He's earned that, or whatever. And so now,
So I'm just holding a dog with one arm.
Yeah, you're like benching a dog. You're like
he weighs like a total 6 pounds, I think.
So when like Mel Brooks is making edgy jokes, you get the sense that like, okay, this is okay because Mel Brooks is making it, and he's kind of earned that. He was part of.
Well, it's like when people like you get those dumbasses who are like, well, rappers could say that word.
Well, yes,
what can I say? Yes, they can. You can, asshole.
They can,
and you never should.
Right. People know this shit. I mean, I hate it when people say this. Like, look, I can get on my brothers about a lot of things. I can get on my wife about like, hey, why don't you? If someone else gives suggestions as to what my wife can do, I'm like, hey, it's not your place. Like if it's in your family or if it's in your group or your tribe or whatever you want to call it, hey, you can get on those people all you want.
Right. It's like, they're saying that word because they're taking it away from you.
Yeah. Well, they're taking
ownership or whatever. They can do whatever the fuck want.
Yeah.
If they want to use a word that was meant to hold them down and still does, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
It's like the same thing. Like Mel Brooks can make Jewish jokes. You can't.
Right. He also so Mel Brooks had that. But he was a big cultural force in the 60s and the 70s during that movement, kind of like the.
It's just funny because obviously you get those people going like anti-PC rants or whatever, they would lump him in. But I would imagine even he would say like, well, yeah, I know people are like hypersensitive today, but like I still respect like people. Don't lump me in with like. Because I always feel like the anti-PC people or whatever, the ones that go on those rants, that's just going down a rabbit hole of straight up racism. They just want to say those words. And
exactly.
Yeah.
It's very...
just like an entry point. Like, the ones that make the biggest arguments and complain about it and run on it,
Well, I wonder, like, if Mel Brooks were still making movies today, what kind of movies he'd be making. Like...
Sambo movies.
Sambo.
No, I don't know. Nothing. He's 90.
Yeah.
He's 90. It's funny. There was this picture of him with Dick Van Dyke, Carl Reiner, and there was one more. The guy who's famous for making all those TV shows like All in the Family and everything.
Norman Lear.
And they're all in the 90s.
Yeah.
Norman Lear's like 97.
Right.
Carl Reiner's 96. Dick Van Dyke's 93 and Mel Brooks 92. And I said in that photo, I'm like, I guarantee they still all call that guy Kid.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They're all calling Mel Brooks the Kid. He's 92 fucking years old.
Yeah. That's crazy. Like, that's like basically 400 years of comedy. Like,
it's insane. Those guys are that freaking old. And they look like they still have like their shit together.
Is Dick Van Dyke still alive?
Yeah, he was in... Yeah, he was...
not Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Patten.
No, he died. He died.
Right.
He died like 10 years ago.
Shit. All right, yeah.
No, but Dick Van Dyke is like... He'll never die. That guy was just in. I watched it recently. I didn't like it. I wasn't into the first one either. Mary Poppins.
Oh,
but he's in a scene where I guess the old guy in the first one because it's like a sequel. He plays the old guy now in this one.
Oh, that's
he's
fun.
The chimney sweep guy in the first one.
Chim.
And they got what's his face to be that character in this one. Miranda, the guy from.
Oh the Hamilton guy. Yeah.
I never was a fan of Mary Poppins, so I can't. I wasn't a fan of this one either because that's not my thing.
I liked it. I liked Mary Poppins was real fucked up, and there's like a lot of like, well, she's like a magic lady that comes and there's some weird stuff in Mary Poppins.
I guess. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. It's also like a suffragette movie because like the whole theme, like a subplot in the movie is that the husband is telling his wife to like stay in the kitchen and make him sandwiches. And she's like, I'm going to go vote, and that's like this whole running thing. Right, yeah. And then like... Right. But like the audience knows like the father's days are numbered, right? Like she's going to vote real soon. And the next thing you know, they're going to invent the pill. And then she'll do whatever the fuck she wants.
Yeah, they don't really. I wasn't paying attention to the subtext. Yeah. I just remember Dick Van Dyke showed up and he was like 1,000 years old and he was tap dancing.
Yeah.
This girl I went to high school with, follow her on Instagram. She's like a musician. She's been in some. Oh yeah. She's like almost like I think like a backup singer. So she's done some big gigs and does the things in like LA. And she was like, and she put something on her Instagram with Dick Van Dyke singing on stage recently.
Wow.
I'm like, this guy, like,
right.
I mean, obviously he's 93. He could. Whoa, I don't know what happened there. He could drop dead any day, but it doesn't. I don't think so. Like he could be around for all I know, like another 10 years.
Yeah.
Some people are just built that way, but it's just crazy seeing that photo with the four of them, and Mel Brooks is still like, and he's 92 fucking years old. Like that's insane. I can't even think about that.
Well, I googled him, and he has a new film coming out that he's somehow a part of. He's not a writer or director, but it's called Blazing Samurai.
Is that really happening?
Well, it's not.
Is it happening like the Spaceballs sequel?
No, that's what I thought too. I was like, Blazing Samurai? Is he going to make a blazing? But it's a cartoon. It's like a Kung Fu Panda type of deal. It's not a.
Well, the last thing I've seen him in was like those Hotel Transylvania movies where he plays the grandpa vampire.
Right. Yeah.
They did make a Spaceballs cartoon series.
I read that.
No one
today.
saw it. I don't even know what it was aired on. I've seen a couple of clips on YouTube.
It was like in the 90s.
Yeah. No, 2000s.
Oh, was it that late?
Yeah, it wasn't very good. It was weird. I don't know. I don't think they were able to get any of the voices. I'm pretty sure Rick Moranis didn't play that character.
What does Rick Moranis?
He doesn't do anything. Yeah. I mean, like I guess he's trying to come back, or he's like something. So he was making movies. And he was like in everything. And I think his career was starting to slow down a little bit. But I think his wife died. So he just dropped out and he was just raising his kids. And doing some, I don't know what he was doing, but I saw him on something. He was like, he put out an album.
Oh, wow.
Like a couple albums of music. Like Jewish folk music.
Like serious or like comedy albums?
I wouldn't say they're comedy. They're probably more... mirth, like is the word you would use. I wouldn't say they were like, I wouldn't say they're like Smothers Brothers or Fly the Conchords, like where it's like a spoof. But
did you used to buy comedy albums?
You mean like what kind of comedy? Like
actual
comedians?
Yeah, when I was watching Spaceballs, I remembered in high school I bought a Joan Rivers album.
I think come with a Cuisinart necklace or whatever.
It was It was a that was the jokes. Yeah, it was a cassette, and I forget the title.
Yeah, that's like a joke.
I think it was like, can we? What was her famous line? Can I talk about that?
Can we talk now or something?
Something like that. It was the name of her shtick.
How did she? She died like in a surgery or something, right?
I think so. Her husband killed himself, right?
Yeah.
And then
they turned that into like a joke.
Yeah. Well, she was pretty affected by it, and then she died from a complication from surgery, I think. Right.
Yeah. Well, she was famous for having a shit ton of plastic surgery.
Yes. Well, I remember this was a while ago, but like I would watch that show. My wife and I would watch that show she did with her kid, where they talked about other people's fashion.
Yeah, that was weird.
It's like a classic 90s, early 2000s.
It was on E.
Yeah.
They would do like award shows.
Fashion Police or something like that. And she was
like shit.
Right. But she was sharp as hell, I mean, like she...
I'm curious to think what she would think of Trump today. Because she was famous, like, I think like tail in her career, she would go on Apprentice a lot.
Yeah.
I'm curious to think what she would think of him as president. I can imagine her in the beginning probably like supporting him a little bit in the beginning. Beginning. But I think then slowly like be like, no.
Right.
You're a fucking piece of shit or something.
Yeah.
especially with the tax on women and taking away women's rights and everything. It would just be like almost like an inverse of everything about that made her famous. It made her like she's like the one thing she was always. She had a talk show. Yeah, that, for years. And the famous thing about that was Johnny Carson, how powerful he was. Her show was doing decent, actually. It wasn't doing bad. He had so much power in Hollywood that he basically got her show canceled.
Right, I remember that. Well, she used to guest host on The Tonight Show often.
But then she got her own show.
Right, and Carson liked that.
And after a while, and like I said, it wasn't doing bad. It was doing pretty well.
Yeah.
And supposedly Carson, got it canceled. It was kind of funny, when you were younger, and that's kind of where Mel Brooks comes from. Hey, cat, stop it. Psst. Quit it. Okay. He would come from this same era where I feel like celebrities meant more than they do now.
Oh yeah.
Celebrities still are important and they there's different kinds of celebrities now. There's influencers online.
Oh yeah.
Reality shows, all kinds of things, but the box office celebrity and Carson were king.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
Carson,
they were kingmakers.
Remember when Carson retired? It was such a big fucking deal.
They drew that shit out for a while.
You know what? Now, no one gives a fuck. No one cares. By the time Jimmy Fallon got it, no one cares.
Right.
There's so many shows on there, like Colbert and Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel. I think they've guested on each other's shows.
Yeah.
They're listen, they're just happy to have this gig. They're not.
It's the end of broadcast.
Those ratings are but those ratings aren't what they used to be.
Yeah.
I'm sure the numbers are still high, but not back in the day. Johnny Carson was he made and braked comedians' careers.
Oh yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld. Probably majority of the reason why you would know Jerry Seinfeld was because he was on
Carson.
Carson.
You get 2 minutes on Carson, and that's it.
And he asked you back.
Do you remember that? What was the name of that? It was on Amazon, or it was on one show where it was stand-up comedians. Do you remember that TV show? Gosh, it was about comics, and the premise is these two comics get a place in Los Angeles, and they're sharing a closet with a cat, and the cat's litter box.
I did not see that.
Yeah, I forget the name of it. But the basic idea was all we need is 2 minutes on Carson and we're gold.
Okay, so it took place in the past.
Yeah, it was a 70s show or something that.
That's really what it came down to. He made people's careers and destroyed people's careers.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's interesting to show you, how, it's how much power some people had in show business.
Right.
It's
I feel we keep coming back to the idea of this as being the end of a certain era of comedy.
I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, okay, yeah. How was that?
It was good. The Tarantino movie.
Yeah,
it's a good parable on what's going on with what Hollywood was in late '60s,
right?
And then what happens now. I could spoil the movie. I'm not, because there's a crazy twist.
Okay.
But the movie's it's the end of the it's 69. It's around the time of Sharon Tate murders.
Yep.
It's kind of where everything kind of changed. It's they hit everything what the whole Charles Manson thing did to the culture.
Yeah.
Everything I don't think people realize it. There's we have certain politicians because of that. We have certain celebrities because of that. We have cultural movements that happen because of the Sharon Tate murders.
I think that 100%. I think the Hells Angels killings at the Rolling Stones concert at Altamont was a big shift in that time.
Was it? I'm not from. I kind of have a vague.
The Stones were going to give a free concert in Altamont in California. It was going to be this kind of groovy piece, and they hired the Hells Angels as security. And the Hells Angels killed some people there. Right?
Oops.
Yeah.
You should hire the Hells Angels.
You hire a vicious motorcycle gang as your security. And they often point to that as the end of the Innocents or the end of the 60s or whatnot. But I've also heard just as frequently people...
Well, Charles Manson must represents the end of the 60s movement.
Right. It's over.
They use that as an excuse. It's almost punk was killed by Sid Vicious.
Right.
This is the punk scene, and it became new wave.
Yeah.
I don't think that though has much of a cultural impact though, like the Manson killings.
No, the Manson killings.
Because they use Manson as like a way to kill, not just like it's like punk. It's like it killed like a music movement. Manson killed like a freaking political movement, like a peace movement. Like it stifled it.
It really did. It was all the shitty things the man had been saying about hippies. It happened with him.
I mean, they would find something else if they.
But they.
It's like Trump now with Antifa.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It kind of.
I've heard Antifa has killed 0 people.
So many 0 people.
Right.
Thousands
zeros upon zeros of people.
Zeros upon zeros of people. It's crazy. They are such a threat. They killed. Of course, we record these episodes a week in advance.
Yeah, right. Knock on
wood. All the wood. Knock on the dogs. Where's that cat? Oh, the cat's on the table.
Yeah,
Mel Brooks.
Right. That's a good detour. But it is. It's weird, like, thinking back on Mel Brooks now, because you talk about, like, the jokes are a little different. Some of them are a little inappropriate. There's a joke in Spaceballs where a lot of the jokes are puns or like straight up, where President Scrooge tells them to comb the desert. Yeah. Right? And so that you go to their version of Tatooine. Vega, was it?
I don't know.
You go to the desert planet, the desert moon of Vega or whatever. And these Spaceballs, they're stormtroopers, are
I like that they didn't make them look like stormtroopers.
No, they had like ping pong ball helmets.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very broadly.
Yeah.
But they're dragging these ace combs across the desert, which is very funny.
Yeah.
But then they go, and one group of Spaceballs is carrying a blowout comb, right? Like
the Afro pig.
Afro pig.
Yes.
And the guy's like, have you found something yet?
We ain't found shit.
Right. And I was watching that, and I'm like, okay. If I were to watch that with my 8-year-old daughter, she would ask me, why is that funny? Right? Like, why is that a funny scene? Or why did they choose...
Because it is. Leave me alone.
Right,
Go away,
kid. And, like, I would say, like, well, if any explanation I give as to why that would be funny would be problematic, in a way. I mean, I couldn't explain it like, well, because the comb is different. Or,
it's a different kind of hair.
Right. Anything I would say would sound like bullshit. And that made me real sad because I was like, God, I feel like this is just my feeling, and I'm probably wrong because I have a real narrow perspective on it. But I'm like, I don't feel that joke was like, disparaged. I mean, it just felt like...
Oh, it's clearly a joke based on like, those are the black Spaceball people. Ha ha ha. They got a comb. And
yes.
they have a pick.
And it was just like...
And then they curse.
Right. Yeah. And they did that like a couple occasions where a variation of that joke happened.
But it had Michael Winslow in it, who did sound effects. It was awesome. We got the bleeps.
And the creeps.
And I'm happy to see him in anything outside of Police Academy.
Bleeps, sweeps, and creeps. I don't know. I mean, I guess I said it made me sad. Like, it's not like, look, I'm not sad. Like, I can't joke about that anymore. Like there can't be movies.
It's like you gotta explain it.
Yeah, it's like that's a part of my childhood that I previously thought had been kind of real innocent and fun and everything, and now I see as like kind of problematic.
I mean, I knew when I was a kid. Even then, I knew that that was a black joke.
I did too, but it was like I don't know. 10. It felt like
it wasn't like a worldly. I was 10, but I knew what it was. I'm like,
yeah, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. Like, am I going to watch? Look, am I ever going to watch Blazing Saddles with anyone? No. It's not going to be it'll be a weird type of thing.
To watch with your daughter?
Yeah, like I'll never watch.
Right. You want to watch Blazing Saddles?
Yeah, right.
A movie that has like
a 7-minute fart joke.
7-minute fart jokes.
But like Spaceballs, I think I probably would, but I'd really have to I would be hoping she didn't ask
I think the problem with this because, well, one, Blazing Saddles, a kid today probably would never give a shit. Because it's based on westerns.
Yeah, right.
Most kids today don't give a fuck about westerns.
Right.
I would make that. I have no problem making that argument.
Yeah.
Kids today really don't give a shit about westerns.
No.
Name a movie that was successful. in the past 10 years that was Western based.
No, like 20 or 30 years
TV.
ago, there was like 6 movies. There was Young Guns,
Yeah.
Silverado, Wyatt. There's like 5 or 6 westerns that came out. The Unforgiven.
But Unforgiven was clearly made for adults. Like,
yes,
that was like an Oscar bait movie.
Yeah.
Young Guns was Hot Studs.
Right, yes. It was the MTV
There was like
version.
there was a bunch of movies like that came out around that time.
Yeah.
Like once Young Guns came out, there was like Wise Guys.
Right.
It had like
I forgot about that one. Yeah.
I don't remember the names of everybody, but like it was all like whatever the heartthrobs were.
Yeah.
And it's like how do we get 6 studs in a movie and base it in a thing? And I'm like, I don't think there were any others after that. There was Young Guns 1 and 2, and there was like Wise Guys, and maybe that one didn't do well, so they were like, they stopped making them.
Well, Young Guns was like lightning in a bottle. That really worked. It was kind of a fun movie. It was real good, I thought.
Had all the dream boats in it.
It did. Even had like a Christian. Remember Christian Slater was in that too. Arkansas Dave.
Well, I thought he was in the Wise Guys movie.
He might have been in the Wise Guys movies, but he was, I think, in Young Guns 2 as Arkansas Dave. And he was.
I don't really remember Young Guns 2
good.
very
Those
well.
are real good.
I only remember Young Guns 1.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like if Spaceballs.
Spaceballs worked because it was, as a kid, I went to see it because it was a parody of Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I wanted to go see it.
Right.
It looked funny. It had John Candy in it. I like John Candy. I saw him in things.
Yeah.
I knew Mel Brooks was a funny man. Like, looked funny and like. So, but it was Star Wars, and I was like, "Oh, I love Star Wars." So even even though Return of the Jedi came out years earlier, it's like anything. To me, it was like new Star Wars content in a way.
I wish I could have seen Spaceballs without ever having seen Star Wars, just to see if it would have worked. Because like,
I don't think it would.
You don't think it would?
I don't know. You'd be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Right.
I don't even see like Ice Pirates.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's kind of like a spoof.
That is.
That's like played. That's not a straight laced movie. That's like played as a spoof, even though it's like, I mean, it's not a complete. It's not a spoof on Star Wars, but it's definitely a spoof on sci-fi movies. And
did you see Adventures in the Forbidden Zone? The one with like Molly Ringwald and
kind of like they ended up in a desert or something. Yeah, I remember she was in that. I always thought that was a bizarre movie.
That was kind of a parody-ish
of like Mad Max or something.
I think there's a lot of like low budget space movies that came out around the time Star Wars did. They did that Seven Samurai remake, Battle Beyond the Stars.
Yeah, I never seen it. I've only seen clips of it. Wasn't like one of the guys from the Waltons was in it?
Yep, the guy from the Waltons was the lead.
And he was in the It miniseries.
Yeah, John Thomas.
Yeah, I always, for some bizarre reason, I get him mixed up with that country singer who died.
John Denver.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, that's funny you saw that from the Oh God or whatever those movies were.
Burns. With him and George Burns. Yeah.
So like. I'm trying to think of like certain scenes in Mel Brooks. Oh, so one of my favorite scenes, and I guess we end up changing subject. Like I said, they go to the diner in the end, and there's one part of the one part when the crew, and it's clearly like that's where they parody aliens.
Right.
And I was thinking in my head that Martin Short was in it, and I made that joke with you before on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
John Hurd.
It's John
Hurd. He came back and played the part again from Aliens.
Right.
And I was like thinking like, what if they tried to get Martin Short first? And then they were like, well, I'll just get John Hurd instead. Right. But they're just sitting around, and like, I love that scene when the guy's like telling the joke. He's like, and then he was like, and then, and we're not on Pluto anymore. How do you know? Because of the bark, dummy. Because of the bark. It's like the funniest, and it's like I find that stupid. Scene it's so funny because it's like you're not hearing the full story, but it's just like the way it's done, and then of course he starts spitting up, and then the alien rips out of him.
And he says too, like, "Oh no, not again," or something like that. Like,
which is obviously. The funny thing is, I didn't see. Well, I saw Aliens in the theater, and that came out the year before.
Yeah.
So I knew the reference, but I never saw Alien.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't realize that was him in that role.
Right.
He's
John Hurt,
famous for being the one that gets the alien ripped out of him.
Yeah, the chest
first
burster.
One. Yeah.
And then the alien comes out and he does that Michigan J Frog routine.
Which we were talking about that before. I said that it's the original racist frog.
Yeah, right.
It's J Frog.
Michigan J Frog.
The original Pepe.
He, that was kind of like it wasn't shoehorned in. I mean, it felt very natural in the flow of the movie, but it was like one more reference. And then the Planet of the Apes reference was...
Well, the giant ship transforms and turns into Mega Maid.
Yes.
It looks kind of vaguely like Statue of Liberty.
Yes.
And that's when it's sucking the atmosphere out of Chiridia with a vacuum cleaner. Super dumb. Yep. and then the ship, because when Lone Star is fighting Darth Helmet, he accidentally knocks him into the self-destruct button.
Yes.
And just that scene when they play Spaceballs, the song Spaceballs, and like they're trying to escape, and I love it, like this giant massive ship, the only ones that got off was the circus.
Right.
The guy playing the drums, the bearded lady.
Well,
get back here, you fat bearded bitch. Which is not right.
Right. Well, look,
it's not right to make fun of that.
Yeah.
Weird bitches.
Well, look, my wife.
My wife.
She's never seen Spaceballs, and
she was
asking me like, "What are you going to do?"
Culturally deficient.
What are you going to do the episode on? I said Spaceballs, and she and her sister thought, what did they think? They thought I was talking about some other movie, like a popular straight movie or whatever. And I get the feeling that my wife would hate every single joke in Spaceballs. Like, not find any of it funny,
probably
to
not.
the least.
Yeah,
right.
I can see that.
It's like such a...
I don't think my wife would... I don't know if she's probably seen it.
Yeah.
She has appreciation for some of those things, but I think she would mostly think it was juvenile and stupid.
Yeah. That's a real good word for it. It's super juvenile in the best possible way.
Like I said, I just think it's like that movie could have just... It's like you get people in the theater just based on the fact that you're parodying Star Wars.
Yeah.
And they could have just done that. And they could have had just all the dumb jokes, like with the Jewish princess or the half dog or the dumb stuff. But you could tell the people making the movie were much smarter than that.
Right.
And with the VHS tape thing, and there's a couple other references that are really funny, and like just how they phrase certain things and the delivery and like the timing. Yeah. It's like you could tell the people making this.
They're smart.
They're very creative. This is being made by experts.
And
that's why I think it works even today.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works if you didn't see Star Wars. I would say it would be funnier if you did.
Oh, yeah.
Without a doubt.
Well, you have, like, a lot of the stuff...
But what if we're just familiar with Star Wars? Like, people know... If you're just familiar with Star Wars, I think you'd be fine. If you know who Darth Vader is and Yoda is, just by walking in a store one day or seeing a trailer once.
Yeah, you certainly don't... And maybe that's why it works so well. You don't need to be a Star Wars,
it's not
expert.
Married to it.
No.
It's its own thing.
In fact, you're almost better off if you just have a passing cultural awareness.
I mean, obviously, the joke when he's like, I'm your father's brother's former roommate. And...
Yeah, and there's some things where, like, I guess maybe your appreciation is deepened if you know Star Wars, but all you need to know is the basics, You're almost better off, because then you're not like, well, why isn't there also a Luke? Where's R2-D2? You can just kind of focus in on the fact that these are broad tropes, and that'll work.
You got Buddy on you.
I know. Oh, man.
So, you okay? Is he crushing you?
He is heavy. He's like cutting off the flow of one of my arteries.
So, actually, one of the best scenes too is Rick Moranis when he Darth Helmet's. You see the action figures.
Oh yeah,
he's reenacting the movie.
Right.
He's playing with the Princess Vespa. He's like, "Oh, Darth Helmet, your helmet's so big." I love when Colonel Sanders busts in, and he's like, "I didn't see you playing with your doll, sir." Again, that's why that movie's awesome. It's like those scenes like that. That's just totally insane. Like I said, they made this like those garbage movies that came out.
Right.
They would just be surface level cheeseball jokes.
But with Spaceballs, with a lot of Mel Brooks movies, there's like 20 or 30 quotable lines in there. Another thing I did is I Googled Spaceballs quotes.
Yeah.
You know, things like 70 entries. You know, there's just like quote after quote after quote. It's pretty good. A lot of movies now, I feel like the jokes are like, they'd be hard to write down. I mean, maybe that's another way of looking at it, is like...
Is there any funny, like, truly funny movies that have come out in the past couple of years? Like, I know, like, last year, they tried to make... I didn't even see it yet. I think it was like a parody, like a dirty puppet movie, like something...
Oh, yeah. People were saying it was like a new Meet the Feebles type of
deal. I heard it was garbage.
Yeah.
From what I heard. I heard it was...
Right.
Like, supposedly Henson was involved with this. Yeah. And... Sunshine Murder Mysteries or something.
Oh, okay.
And I heard it was just like unwatchable.
Right.
Meet the Feebles to me, like when I saw it.
Did you like that?
I liked it because I felt like I was watching something I wasn't supposed to watch.
Right. Who did that?
Peter Jackson.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Peter Jackson.
But it's like, you know, I don't know. I never seen like an HD quality of it. I watched like, you know, this is when he was still making movies in New Zealand. I think he did Bad Taste. I don't know if he did Meet the Feebles first or did the Dead Alive movie.
Yeah, I was going to say Brain Dead, but it was Dead Alive.
Yeah, Brain Dead. I think he did this after. I could be wrong. But, like, I just remember seeing it and being, like, watching it. I'm like, there was something about it that seemed kind of off. It was awesome. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty freaking deranged movie.
I saw it when it came out. Probably came out in, like, 92 or 3 or something like that, I'm going to guess. Yeah. And I saw it at a art house movie theater in Portland, Oregon, when I was living there at the time. And the same thing with you. I liked it because it felt a little scandalous and puerile. It was real creepy. Remember one of the puppets had like a drug addiction and developed AIDS or something? And it was it was just real fucked up and it was scummy, you know, like...
it's super scummy.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt dirty, and, like, it felt like the puppets probably smelled like old gym socks and stuff. Like,
okay, so, yeah...
When did that come out?
89. So, Bad Taste is 87. This was 89.
Okay.
And he does...
Was it released in the U.S. a little later?
I thought he did Brain Dead. Did he not?
Because I know I didn't
I'm looking
see
at
that
the
in 89.
Okay, hold on. I'm looking at his... Okay, so yeah, he did Bad Taste, Meet the Feebles in 89, and he did Dead Alive in 92.
Okay.
And then he does Heavenly Creatures, and that's what elevates him to the whole new level.
I'll bet you
he does Frighteners, and then freaking Mel Brooks.
Yeah. I bet you I saw, I forgot Frighteners. That's with Michael J. Fox, right? Mm-hmm. I'll bet you I saw Meet the Feebles on an American premiere release. You know, because I'll bet you that didn't come out in the U.S. until like...
I didn't see it till I was like in... Probably, I guess if that came out in 89, then I didn't see that movie till like I was in college. Yeah. So.
Well, I know I didn't see it in 89.
I didn't realize it was that old.
Yeah.
But yeah, you watch it, yeah, everything's just scummy. It's like a scummy, like it's just straight up.
It's just
like
trash. I mean, like,
but it's good.
Get right.
It's well done. Like, I heard the other one, I don't know. I haven't seen it yet. I don't want to judge it.
Right.
But I'm just like trying to think of like, is there anything that has been good comedy wise? I mean, I know there's those stupid movies, those fucking Vegas movies, The Hangover.
Oh yeah. Those are funny.
They're okay.
I'll tell you. Look, let me take that back a little bit.
They're like bro humor, you know.
Yeah. Well, yes. Wedding Crashers.
It's all bro. It's all bro humor. Right.
You know what was really funny, I thought?
Yeah.
And that was a little, maybe not problematic, but that was like in the vein of being Mel Brooks-ish was, did you see Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
I thought that was very funny. I thought that was funny all the way through.
I'll say that definitely falls in line of like parody to...
Transgressive humor.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's been a movie like that in a while. Like,
but Tropic Thunder was hilarious.
That's why I was saying, like, a lot, that's why I mean, like, the way they make Marvel movies and like anything that's like big now, it's like they shoehorn so much humor in these movies that like really like
they know they got to put people in seats, like
right, and you want to get everybody. You want to make sure everybody's there.
Well, that's how you get a Shazam, a Wonder Woman, a Captain Marvel, a lot of those modern ones. You get a little bit of everything, and look, I'm likely to take my kid, probably my wife. You know, I mean, like maybe all three of us. You want everyone to be able to go. That's maybe like the Avengers Endgame and whatnot were a little tough because you needed all the history and they were a little ponderous. My kid's not going to sit through my kid's not going to sit through 3 hours of Avengers 2, you know, or
well, like you said, she only saw Captain Marvel. Right?
Yeah, she has a very limited understanding of the canon, and it's just not going to work. So
I don't know. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this movie. I like if it's on, I'll watch it. I'll even seek it out once in a while. It makes me crack up. Spaceballs.
Yeah.
You know, we could go deeper into his other movies.
Oh, sure.
I feel like I need to see them again so they're like fresh in my mind. I mean, obviously, it's their world. It's like almost like vignettes. It's like skits, really,
it's just like 6 or 7 vignettes.
Like the Inquisition scene.
Yep.
You know,
the opening scene was kind of like a mirror of 2001: A Space Odyssey, where all these like prehistoric like Neanderthals were by an obelisk or whatnot, and then they start masturbating. it's just very, very fun.
Yeah.
It's all like real kind of juvenile humor, but it
I like when they're in Rome and you hear in the background the guy's talking about pipes and he just says, "Suck the shit out of the house." It's like,
and he's advertising his lead pipes because It was I don't know. It's like a great mix of highbrow and lowbrow humor. You know, it really is.
Do you like Monty Python?
Yeah, that's a weird one. I very much like Monty Python, but not to the degree where I would be like reciting the Knights from Nice speech. You know, at dinner.
Whatever fuck or the sorry, it's not old fashioned. I know people who are like obsessed.
Yes,
with those
I'm not that, but I do.
I appreciate them, but like I like obviously I've seen Holy Grail. Holy Grail kind of has like a similar thing to, and that's an older movie. I think that came out before Bliss Out, where it kind of breaks down and you realize you're on a movie set. That breaks down in the end, where the cops show up, right, to arrest them. Yeah,
and Life of Brian kind of also had a.
I never sat through Life of Brian.
That was pretty good.
I saw the other. What's that other one? Meaning of Life or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Is that the one with the fat guy blows up?
I think so.
Wafer thing.
Right.
There's some weird shit in that movie. It starts getting like.
Now,
see the Terry Gilliam elements mixed in more.
Because there was like Time Bandits is Terry Gilliam, not Monty Python per se, right?
It's Terry Gilliam movie.
And Brazil was obviously Terry Gilliam, and he did Fisher King.
Yep.
But what were the Monty Python movies? There's Holy Grail.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Life of Brian. I'm drawing a blank on the others.
I mean, they had the Flying Circus, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, let me just look up.
Well, and they had their bits. Like, they had their show, you know, the X-Parrot.
Honestly, I think that's, like, the only Live from a Hollywood Bowl. I know people are, like, obsessed with it. I don't know. Maybe I'm an idiot. I never found them, like,
I thought they were fun.
Funny to the point where I was like, oh, my God. I think I like Mel Brooks better.
Yeah, like, if I had
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But...
Well, look, in high school, the kind of super smart, geeky kids loved Monty Python.
Right.
And I was never quite there. I mean, I've seen the same films. I
guess Terry Gilliam's first movie was The Jabberwocky, which I think I've only seen, like, little snippets of.
Snicker snack itself.
Yeah. What?
The Jabberwocky was basically the bad guy in The Fisher King. I know it wasn't like...
Was it?
Literally that. Well, the Fisher King is just the story of Percival, you know, and it's like the...
Wasn't Robin Williams playing a nut?
Yeah, but he thought he was Percival, the Fisher King.
Right.
And the Fisher King is like this archetypical story where you're seeking the Grail, you know, the thing that eludes you.
I always thought Jabberwocky was part of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Is it predate Alice in Wonderland?
No, it's like a mythical dragon, like a nonsensical dragon. But the thing that Robin Williams kept fighting in The Fisher King was a Jabberwocky-esque type of deal.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the Jabberwocky, but, you know, it's in that vein. So, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to think if there's any actual comedies coming out.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right, they're kind of hybrids now.
Like that, like an actual comedy.
Right, where are the Dane Cooks of today?
Yeah, where are Dane Cooks and our Carrot Tops?
Well,
where are our head? Was it? He's like in one movie. It's like chairman of the board or something.
oh, jeez.
You ever? I swear I might have told you this. Like my favorite thing ever. There's a clip you can find on YouTube. Norm Macdonald.
Oh, okay.
Who's like can be very funny or not funny.
He can be very funny, yes.
But when he's funny, he is fucking funny. And he does the best Burt Reynolds ever. In that it's like not even an impression.
It's channeling.
It's just like it's like if someone just told you one time, yeah, Burt Reynolds was this guy who wore a jacket and he just was like
a red Trans Am jacket.
Yeah, that. And it was amazing. It's like the worst, like you said. It's like and that's kind of like how I view Spaceballs. Like if someone just said, like, yeah, there's this and this. If you just know what it is, it works. But he has this one. He was the woman who was in chairman of the board was on Conan O'Brien. This is like '94.
Yeah,
the first couple of years.
Right.
Find this on YouTube. And she says something about the name of the movie. And Norm Macdonald was like, whoops, I dropped something. Was the previous guest, so he's still there, and he just kind of interrupts and like Conan says, "What's the name of the movie or something?"
Yeah,
because it was like Carrot Top. Right. Norm Macdonald goes, "Oh, I thought it was called Box Office Poison." And he was right because it bombed real hard.
Yeah. But it's funny that now that I've had time to think about it. The funniest things I've seen, A, aren't in the movies, and B, aren't strict comedies. The funniest things I've seen lately, and some of these are a little older. That second or third episode of Russian Doll was just hilarious, where she kept trying to get down the stairs. Remember that?
She kept on breaking her neck. Yeah, that was insane.
Right. Santa Clarita Diet, I thought the first season of that was just epically funny over and over again. I think that show, The Good Place, is super funny. But like most of what is funny for me is on television and is real kind of dark and thinky.
I have a show that I saw that, like, you know how like you said Flamingos and everything's like famous for like having outright disgusting things.
Yes.
I highly recommend Sally Forever. It's a British show.
Oh, okay.
It aired on HBO. It is the most disgusting show you will ever watch.
Really?
It's about this woman who's like, she's dating this guy. They've been engaged for a very long time. She thinks she might be a lesbian. She doesn't know anything. She meets this woman who's kind of cool, and she ends up having an affair with her, right? But the woman is insane.
Okay.
And the show is fucking hysterical. It's like the woman's clearly not a lesbian. The woman's insane.
Right.
But I highly recommend it. There's a scene that is by far the most disgusting thing I ever watched.
Okay.
I think it's in the second to last episode. When they go to a hotel, the woman like eats everything in the buffet, and she just gets super sick. She just shits and pukes stuff like that. And it's fucking nasty. I can't even I'm like, I watched that. I was like grossed out. I'm like, this isn't TV. This is not in the movies. You know, they talk about like how the thing was like, I don't think there was actual shit or puke in it. Special effects, but I guess like the famous thing is Divine actually did eat a piece of poop.
Yeah, dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. From Pink Flamingos, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, so that's what makes it legendary.
Right.
But if you just thought that was a prop or whatever, this is like on a whole other level.
Next level.
It is like, it's called Sally Forever.
All right.
And it is fucking like vulgar
check
shit.
that out.
Like, it is so funny. I can't even describe it. Like, I'm not even giving it justice, but that one scene in there. Because if we're talking about like, and I don't think enough people seen this. It is so. I didn't expect that. I didn't I'm watching this show, and I just figured it was just like a funny comedy, kind of romantic comedy. Like this woman not realizing what she is. And it's British, so it's gonna have humor. And it was just like literally the most disgusting thing I watched in years.
We've talked before about how
worse than trauma movies.
Oh, jeez, we should do a trauma thing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Well, we've talked before about how art and comedy, like part of that is like challenging people or like transgressing.
Well, I just think the problem with TV, there's some great stuff on TV. Like we talk about movies because there's like more weight to them.
Right. Yes.
It's like, I think that was like one of the comments people were making about Star Wars. Like the fact that Disney was shooting out a Star Wars movie every year. Yeah. And after this last one, they're going to take a break because it was taking it and this is a comment people say about Marvel movies, where it doesn't feel like I'm watching a movie anymore.
It's on the back.
I feel like I'm watching a TV series.
Yeah.
This is a special episode. It's like I'm watching just a very long miniseries, and I have to commit to watching this series. Sorry, the cat's got something to say. What do you got to say? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's some TV shows that just like they don't get the credit they deserve.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And especially if the audience isn't big enough. Like I said, it's like people will talk about like, oh, this is so vulgar, this is gross. I'm like, just watch this show.
Yeah.
It's like I can't recommend it to everybody because it is so disgusting.
Sally Forever.
Yeah.
Right. I'll check that out. Yeah, I have
it is literally, and it's funny.
All right.
It's the most disgusting.
Is it like the classic British one where it's like 6 episodes or something?
Yeah, it's only 6 episodes.
Perfect.
So it's perfect. It's a solid 6 episodes. I can't even explain it. Just, like I said, it's like we talk about movies that have like gross scenes. Talk about John Waters movies that have gross scenes. Like, this is like, this. I feel like this rivals it.
All right, well, let's wrap this up. I think Spaceballs is 100% worth watching.
Yeah.
I don't think... Look, if you're looking for problematic stuff...
The movie came out in 1987.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's going to be...
right.
It's like I said. Yes, we recognize... We're not going to diss people, make them like, oh, you're a bunch of pussies and you can't handle it.
Look, it is what it is.
You can't handle these movies. You can't handle... it's like, no. I find it funny, but I know...
Yeah, well, I think
there's some things that don't age well.
I keep coming back to the fact that Mel Brooks has he lived a life that kind of has earned him like some cultural cash in there, where he can transgress in places where maybe other artists can't.
Yeah,
he can.
Oh man, I just remember watching somebody like reposted some video of like John Cleese, right?
Oh yeah,
and I was like, it's like. They get older, and it's like they're not funny anymore. They just they get a little professorial, and they comment, and like everything's got weight to what they say. Like I feel like that's like George Carlin in the later years.
Yeah,
like, the comment, like they're not funny anymore. It's like they're just like, and he goes on this whole rant about PC, everything. And I'm like, listen, you know what? At the end of the day, though, we're going to talk about optics.
Yeah,
you're a mid-70-year-old very rich British man.
Right.
Your life, I don't need to hear what you think is PC or not, because you live in a fucking bubble.
Right. Absolutely.
And is there some truths in some of the words you're saying? Sure. Yeah, a little bit, sure. But I'm gonna hold you with a grain of salt. It's like when Seinfeld recently said he won't do colleges anymore.
Right. Yeah.
To me, he was just he was talking about how like it's so PC now or whatever. And I'm like, first of all, I'm like, dude, you have the most vanilla set. Who the fuck would be offended by you? Oh, do you ever get lost in a parking lot?
Right.
Oh, I'm offended by that. I've never been lost in a parking lot. The idea that you would even think that.
Yeah. Right.
Is this parking lot non-binary? Like, I mean, like
Kramer, on the other hand.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. But I mean, like, I'm like, you just don't want to do colleges anymore.
Right.
And you don't need to. Like,
you don't need to. Look,
you just want to make interview cars or whatever.
Right. Jerry Springfield's a weird one.
Jerry Springfield?
Jerry Springfield.
Yeah, he is a weird one.
Yeah.
He's never done anything, and I don't know if he exists.
Yeah, right. Well, who was Jerry? Who was
Jerry
Springer? That's what I was thinking of. Yeah,
Jerry Seinfeld, Jerry Springer merged together.
Wow, that's a.
Why did you marry your sister?
Yeah, yeah, he's an odd one. All right. Well, let's wrap this up. I would say, go see Spaceballs.
Yep.
Especially if you
haven't.
If you haven't,
listening to this, you probably have seen it.
And if you've seen, it's hard to believe that someone would have seen Star Wars but not seen Spaceballs.
Oh, you mean like you saw Spaceballs but didn't see Star Wars?
No, like you saw Star Wars but never got around to seeing Spaceballs. There's probably people like that.
I think if you were my age, you saw Spaceballs.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, the movie came out in 87. They never made any sequels to it. There's no licensed property, so you're not going into like Target and seeing malls.
And it's been readily available on streaming services for a while.
Right, but I'm just saying it's not referenced a lot. It's not culturally relevant today. So I could see how like a 20-year-old probably never saw Spaceballs.
Oh yeah.
So.
You should check it out.
Check it out. It's like to me the best Star Wars sequel to ever get made.
Yeah, right?
All right. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That with myself, Rob Israel, and Joseph K. Remember, you can find us on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Google Play, CastBox, and Podbean. So remember to like and subscribe, share, comment, leave us a basket of fruit or candy. Thank you for listening. All right, later. Bye.